One thing I want to thank for the testimonies and of your experience, personal experience, or your experience on struggling against violence against women and for gender issues. And of course, climate change is always has to include the gender perspective. In Rio Plus 20, we try so much, but we got so little at the end because other things were considered more important for others, for the ones who were making decisions. So I think on gender issues in all its diversity of issues we've been talking and listening today, we need to be, yesterday I was mentioning, relating on one hand how Nelson Mandela looked at the attitude toward things, but remember this Rimbaud poet that he said that you always have to have a burning patience. That means not to be patient, not to stop being outraged, what needs to be, we need to feel outrage about, but needs to understand we need to be working very strongly, and we'll have to continue doing it every day of our lives, because women had never got anything for free. And we will continue conquering and combating and struggling for our rights. But you asked me, my friend, how do you do that? Let me tell you something. Probably my predecessor would have approved the traditional concept. I come from a traditional family, but I have been for so many years the head of a family. So for me, it's obvious, it has been obvious that you can never speak about one single type of families. In my country, there are many kinds of families. Men, women, monoparental, men or women, single, same-sex families, etc. So how you make that reality is taken as an important thing by the one who makes decisions. I cannot give you the answer. I just think we need to speak out loud about the things. People need to continue organizing, and I'm completely convinced of what somebody of you said. Women's organizations, NGOs, civil society need support because government has some role to do. And sometimes, because of different reasons, political mainly, cultural sometimes, or economic, they can't go further. So we need the civil society to also, from bottoms up, push the government so they can move the line, if I may say. But we really need you. We really need you because sometimes you will have a president or prime minister in those cases that is willing to do because it's in its bones, it's in its reality and really believe it. But some others need to be pushed, need to be incentivized, if you might say. So please continue doing what you've been doing because I know that the world needs you and the women of the world needs you in all our diversity. Men also, and of course, what you said, engage men is essential. One of my frustrations as UN Women Executive Director, that I went over the world and there were only women, first, when we talk about it, and second, only women that we were convinced about the things. And that happens to me now when I'm a president of the Republic and I go to a place where everybody loves me, and I said, I don't want this kind of acts where everybody there thinks the same as me, because what I want to convince people who don't think like me, that we need to do a fiscal reform, or we need to do an educational reform. So don't make me think that we're all the same. Let's go to the people who think differently, who don't agree on what I'm saying. So, and I think that's a job we need all to do together. But so, just one last thing about violence against women. Of course, violence against women need a political will, need budget, need shelters, need judicial systems that works accordingly to it. We need to work with the health sector, with the judicial sector, and with the police forces, so they're really sensitive about this. And sensitive mean caring about the women, but also doing what they have to do, making the perpetrators, receive what they need to receive. But also, I think we need to think in a different way. And what makes me think of that, and even though when I went to Denmark, Sweden, nobody's doing what I'm going to say, and I think if we're not doing it, we're not going to make things right. Some pains are forever. That's true. Political pains, emotional pains, to be a victim, of course, is something that is in there. But speaking with women who were victims of trafficking for sexual, as for sexual trade, if I may say, they said that usually all kinds of programs are very short, just some months, some years. So we are not doing almost anything on secondary prevention with the kids that were victims of violence, or they witnessed violence, or the death of one of their parents. And these women, that they were victims of human trafficking, they were telling me they needed years of work, of intervention, of support to really be able to stand up again after 15, 17 years of being held like slave and being trafficked by others. So I think on violence, we need to think big, we need to think long-term, and not only short-term, because otherwise we will be helping, and of course we need to do all the other things, engage men and so on, but we need to change the way we're doing things, because we're not doing it right. Thank you very much.